Good morning and welcome to the Great Journey podcast. We are back again with our Tiger's Great Journey read aloud that was written by our resident chief instructor, Sensei Marty Callahan. Today we are reading chapter 3, The Superhuman in All of Us. One cold and rainy day, Tiger's mom was driving him to the dojo when traffic came to a standstill. There was an accident up ahead. After a while, traffic started moving again, and Tiger and his mom passed the scene. Two cars were off to the side of the road, and the drivers were talking to each other. The other driver was on her cell phone. Tiger and his mom passed by and then sped up. When they arrived at the dojo, the class had already started. Tiger knew that because he was late, he would have to follow a specific set of procedures. He'd been told that this was to prevent unneeded disruptions to the class. Concentration was important in karate, and if students were allowed to walk in and out of class whenever they wanted to, it would be difficult for the other students to stay focused. He checked in, put his shoes and jackets in their proper places, found a spot off to the side, sat down in seiza, and began to meditate. The warm-ups were still going on, so he bowed and took his place on the floor. When Sensei came out, he told the class that the leadership topic for this week was integrity and asked if anyone knew what integrity meant. Several students raised their hands. Sensei called on Hierta, who told the class that integrity meant honesty. Sensei told her she was right and added that integrity also meant wholeness of self. He explained that in mathematics, there is the term integer, which means a whole number. Integrity and integer have the same root, which means untouched or undivided, and hence whole. So integrity was the wholeness of self, mind, body, and spirit as one. Sensei explained that we develop integrity when we defend ourselves because to succeed, we must make a superhuman effort. An ordinary effort will not be enough. We have to go above and beyond, and when we do, we are using our mind, body, and spirit as one. We are whole and complete. Being honest can also require a superhuman effort, Sensei went on to explain. In many cases, it might be a lot easier to lie, but don't do that. Lying will only come back to hurt you. As hard as it might be to tell the truth, it is much easier to do so up front than to pay the price for lying later. There is a superhuman in all of us, Sensei said in summary. You will find this quality when you exercise your integrity and integrate your mind, body, and spirit. So now we are going to go to the desert of integrity, the part of Tiger's Great Journey where Tiger goes on an imaginary journey. So you can see he's there with his friend, and there's a beautiful horse there and a vast desert. As Tiger and Blake continued their journey, the landscape became barren. Tiger tried to remember the last time he'd seen a tree or flowing water. His journey with Blake had taken them into a vast stretch of desert with red rock canyons and a sea of sand. The walking was difficult, but each day Tiger felt himself grow stronger and more aware of the beauty of life. He thought of a desert as a dead and desolate place, yet as they walked and talked, he was fascinated by the colors and textures of the rock, the deep blues in the sky, and the variety of hardy plants and animals that lived in this harsh environment. One morning, Tiger awoke early and decided that while Blake slept, he would walk the 100 or so yards to the small ravine where yesterday they had found a pool of fresh water fed by a spring. The sand crunched beneath his feet as he walked. He wondered what the new day would bring. He reached the clear pool of water and kneeled to take a drink. Then he splashed water into a bowl-shaped depression in the rock and used it to wash his face. He stretched out on a great flat rock and enjoyed the feeling of the rising sun drying and warming his skin and the stone. A sound startled him, the clatter of approaching hooves. He jumped to his feet and focused his eyes on a cluster of 6 or 7 horses, each mounted by a boy not much older than him. "Well, hello," the rider in the lead shouted as he dismounted. "What brings you to this one friendly place in an uninviting desert?" He let his horse drink eagerly from the pool. Tiger sensed that something wasn't quite right with these boys. They were too well dressed and riding horses that they didn't seem to know. "I'm on a journey with my friend," he said. "We camped here last night." Tiger wanted to give them as little information as possible. "What is your name?" asked a boy who wore fine, tall boots and a thick gold necklace. "My name's Tiger." "And yours?" The boy who was apparently the leader answered, "I'm Raven. We're going to have some breakfast. Would you like some?" The boys removed from their saddlebags fresh bread and fruit and some fancy cheeses. Tiger thanked them for their hospitality, but declined their offer of food. They'd eaten and chatted only a few moments when Raven said to Tiger, "You should join us. We will get you a fine horse." The invitation surprised Tiger. Join these boys? He didn't even know them. He said to Raven, "You're saying you would buy me a horse?" The boys exploded into laughter. Tiger couldn't imagine why they found the question so funny. Raven caught his breath and said, "We don't buy horses, my friend. We steal them. A few days ago, we passed by a ranch with a couple of beauties. We'll give you a ride there and you can take your pick." Tiger looked at them serenely. Now he understood what wasn't right about these boys. "Truly? You steal horses?" he asked. "We take whatever we need from a town or ranch and then we ride on," said Raven. "Sometimes we split up into pairs and ride up to a home and tell the people we're orphans or runaways and we're hungry. The people always invite us in, feed us, give us a place to sleep. We get up in the middle of the night, take whatever money and valuables we can find, and ride off." A second boy pulled something out of his pants pocket. He said, "Look at this gold watch I stole from a trusting old fellow just the other night." Tiger shook his head. "You lie to people and steal from them?" he said. "How does that make you feel about yourselves?" Raven shrugged and said, "Hey, doesn't bother me a bit. We only take from rich people. My belly's full and there's money in my pocket. And there are a lot of people who do what we do, and worse." Tiger rose to his feet. "Well, that's not for me," he said, and turned to walk back to his campsite. He found Blake awake and ready to resume their journey. "I was beginning to worry about you, Tiger," Blake said. "Where did you go?" "I went for water and I ran into some thieves. I learned something important from them." "What was that?" "I learned the meaning of integrity. I learned that I could ride if I would do what I learned that I could ride if I would do what I know is wrong, but I would rather walk and stay true to myself." Changing the subject, Tiger suggested that they look at the map. As he carefully opened it, an image of two shaking hands with the word integrity began to appear. "Wow, there's another image, Blake." Blake looked and said, "Tiger, this map is going to show you the way to the temple and record the leadership traits you gain along the way." "I believe you're right, Blake. It's very special. Well, let's get out of here because those boys may decide that letting me walk away was not a good idea." And with that, Tiger and Blake packed their belongings and moved out, leaving no trace that they had spent the night. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time on the Great Journey podcast. Bye-bye.